It's 30 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections. Hello and welcome to Election Brief with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. Election Headquarters is brought to you by Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate. Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty, Chobos Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and all social media handles, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, first story, the Electoral Commission has defended the credibility of the new compiled voter register released to political parties on hard drives yesterday. The Commission's defense comes after the NDC expressed a doubt about the document's credibility. The party rejected their copy of the register, insisting summaries of the compiled voter data be added, but the EC failed to deliver it after 6 hours of waiting. We'll hear from the NDC shortly, but on your screen now is a statement from the EC, and it reads, the Electoral Commission on Wednesday, 6th November 2024, provided all registered political parties and independent presidential candidates with the soft copies of the Certified Voters Register in accordance with Sub-Regulation 4 of the Regulation 27 of the CI 91. Also, the soft copies which are presented to the political parties on external hard drives contained the valid voters register, the exception list, the multiples list, the transferred voters list, the absent voters list, the manual verification list, the proxy voters list, and the special voters list. At the meeting, the National Democratic Congress requested for the summary of the above list. Although the Commission is not required by law to provide statistics of the various lists to parties, in the spirit of responsiveness, it's granted the request by the NDC. Well, to enhance transparency and accountability, the EC took the time to generate the summaries requested on regional basis. Now, realizing that this would take time to generate, the parties requested the EC to send the breakdowns to them after waiting patiently. The public should note that since 1992, the Electoral Commission has always provided only the soft copies of the Certified Voters Register to the political parties without the breakdown of the statistics required by the NDC. Now, the Commission also wishes to place on record that, as was promised during the IPAC meeting on the 15th of October 2024, the Commission duly delivered on its promise to release the Certified Voters Register within the first week of November 2024. It goes on to say that the Commission assures all stakeholders that the Certified Voters Register is robust and credible. We urge the public to support the Commission to deliver free, fair, transparent, and credible elections in December 2024. So that is the statement from the Commission. But now we can hear from the NDC's Deputy Head of Elections and IT, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, who says EC still hasn't provided the political parties with statistics of the voters register list. He also takes on the EC for insisting it's not required by law to provide statistics of the voters register list, arguing that it's standard procedure.
Wait for us to request. They always give us.
So you have
we don't request for it.
You have the Certified Voters Register summary from previous.
The register is coming, the register comes with the summaries.
Okay.
The register always comes with summaries, and that's why we are saying that we don't even wait for them to request. What made us to request for the summaries yesterday was that after her presentation, she was silent about the summaries. She didn't mention anything about the summaries. She just told us that I've satisfied the register. Then that we realized that no, something is amiss somewhere. I said that she missed something. So we're trying to call her attention to that, not knowing that they didn't even have it.
I will let them flip back to the previous paragraphs of this statement where it states that the EC is not mandated by law to provide you with a summary.
Dear, has the EC, is there any law that mandates the EC to provide statistics for ballot printing? Show me anywhere. They should come and tell us the law that allows them to generate ballot statistics before they can print ballot papers. But they are printing ballot papers and they have statistics. They've generated statistics for the printing of the ballot papers. Tell me which part of the law that says that they should generate ballot statistics before they can print ballot papers. The law says print ballot papers. The law didn't say generate statistics for ballot printing. Common sense is lacking in this country. You are telling me that if you are a reporter, if somebody asks you today, right now, what is the total registered voters for December 7th, what will you tell the person?
The EC in their statement says that because of the time we had agreed in terms of the political party, you have agreed that they will provide you with that information later on. Have they provided that information to you?
As we speak now, they have not provided the information.
Did they give you a timeline?
On our presidential platform. Oh, well, as of yesterday, at the time we were leaving, Dr. Ofori, who is the IT consultant, indicated he needed additional 1 hour, 45 minutes or 2 hours to finish generating it. That is taking them time. After they've wasted our time for over 6 hours, they came back to tell us that they needed additional time. Fine. Now we are within the reach of 10, getting to 11, and no information on it yet. That tells you that they were not prepared. They were not prepared to come out with those things. And I'm just asking, it's a simple demand. You reporters, you are going to report about the elections. If somebody asks you, what is the total registered voters to cast their ballot December 7th, what will you be telling them? EC has not given you that information. EC is telling you that they have given certified register. What is the total number of people in that register? They don't have.
Now, still on the NDC presidential candidate John Mahama says the residents of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likpe, what you know as Sal, are not lesser citizens compared to those from constituencies where parliamentary seats were declared vacant by the Speaker. Speaking on the last day of his tour of the OT region, he called on the judiciary to pursue reforms that ensure consistency and fairness in judgment, stressing on the importance of equal representation and justice for all Ghanaians. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
NDC presidential candidate John Mahama giving his own rendition of Stonebwoy's song Jijireje to criticize Vice President and NPP presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's economic performance, implying he hasn't met expectations as an economist. Sports journalist Yawampo Fuankra expressed his long-standing admiration for John Mahama dating back to his days as a member of parliament. He says this influenced his decision to openly support him in this election.
I've always been an admirer of John Dramani Mahama. You know, I was in Parliament as a correspondent when he was the MP for Bole Bamboy. That is when I first got to know John Mahama. So I don't need introduction. But I've always had a soft spot for John Mahama. And now that the opportunity has come for him to come back again, I will not hold back to support.
While touring the OT region, John Mahama promised to decentralize recruitment into state security agencies, aiming to bring in more personnel.
Because of the 24-hour economy, we have to improve safety and security in the country. So we have to employ more policemen, more immigration, more customs. And so we are decentralizing the recruitment. We're not going to sit in Accra and recruit. We're going to come region by region to all the 16 regions and we'll recruit so that all of us have an opportunity to join the service.
He said the lack of representation for residents in Central Kofi, Lolobi and Akpafu Sal in the Guan constituency for 4 years is injustice and worrying. He stressed the need for judicial reforms to ensure fairness and consistency.
The justice system must be consistent. Then, when it comes to NPP MPs, the Speaker declares their seats vacant for 1.5 months until we go to election. That one, it is unheard of. Their human rights are being affected. I mean, what kind of justice system is this? The people of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likpe are not inferior citizens of Ghana. The citizens of Asin North are not inferior citizens of Ghana compared to the two that the Supreme Court is struggling to defend their representation. But we believe that one of the important things that we need for our democracy to survive is for our judiciary to carry out the reforms that make it consistent, that make it fair, and that make it able to dispense justice without fear or favor.
The NDC parliamentary candidate for the Guan constituency, Fred Agbenyu, promised John Mahama a strong showing in December's elections, vowing to secure 98% of the votes.
An area that has been described by many as the cardinal sin of the Fourth Republic, that in the 2020 elections, the people of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, Likpe were not allowed to participate in parliamentary elections. And so, Your Excellency, we want to assure you that we are going to support you to the very end.
Now, joining us live on Zoom now is the spokesperson for the NDC presidential candidate, Joyce Bawah Mogtari. Now, many thanks for joining us. We'll talk about the tour and the policies that he's been suggesting that he was going to be undertaking. But quickly, I'd like to know his thoughts on what's happening between the NDC and the EC, particularly on the register.
Very much, Esther. Very good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all of you out there. Look, let me just say that this is all a battle over what is fair, what is right, and what is equitable. We live in a constitutional dispensation. We ought also to ensure that all of our governance institutions, especially the creatures of statute, are actually living up to our expectations. The Electoral Commission is not an island. The Electoral Commission is an arbiter in our elections. Considering the matters at hand, it is actually very critical that the EC, more than any other institution of governance, demonstrates we must be able to see, feel that the EC is actually working in a transparent and accountable manner, that they will eschew prejudice and avoid biases, and that they will be working in the interest of peace before, during, and after the elections. I think that genuinely this is all that the National Democratic Congress is asking for. Why would we have this back and forth between the EC and a political party on the stature and level of the National Democratic Congress? We are the largest opposition political party in Ghana. We demand utmost respect. We demand utmost fairness. We demand equality, transparency. Look, the Electoral Commission is not the mouthpiece or an arbiter for the New Patriotic Party or for government for that matter. And we ought to see consistently that they are demonstrating this particular issue about the fact that we expect them to be independent arbiters.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Maybe at some point we'll invite you so we'll talk deeper about the Electoral Commission and the NDC. But right now, let's focus on his tour in Oti region. So what are some of the key issues that have come up during his tour in the northern and Oti regions, respectively?
Look, Esther, traveling the length and breadth of Ghana with Mr. Mahama speaks to one thing. It is almost as if there's one Ghana for President Akufo-Addo and there's another Ghana for the rest of us. We're actually driving towards Pasa, and then somebody asked me, so where is the 12,000 kilometers of roads that they actually claim that they have constructed? There is nothing to show. Secondly, we actually boarded a ferry all the way from Dambai to Karachi. And on each occasion, I had various conversations with all sorts of people. They have low voltage, they have low current, they cannot even rely on the power supply system. And to be honest with you, even potable water is a challenge. And these are matters that were there. And you remember that the National Democratic Congress, under the auspices of Mr. Mahama, had actually started a process of treating waters from our river bodies to serve communities where the water plateau is so low, or the yield is so low, or the quality of the water probably isn't good enough for human consumption. So the whole idea was that we treat waters from river bodies, from lakes, and then pipe them to the communities that live close by. All these beautiful policies have so far been abandoned. And of course, the generality of the Ghanaian populace went out there to vote for the deception that indeed we were going to construct what? 1D, 1F? Funny enough, in Nkwanta North, for example, they built a 2-bedroom structure, 2x4, and claimed that this was going to be a Gari processing factory. You see, look, it is almost as if President Akufo-Addo is a president only for a few people in the Jubilee House of Ghana. Because when you go to the OT region, one of the very latest creations by this particular administration, a matter that took a very partisan outlook beyond the economic outlay that we expect. Now go there and see, in a constituency called Kajebi, for example, they still have a school that was constructed by Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, while the E-blocks that was being constructed has been abandoned and left to rot. So this is the Ghana that we have, where we do not see equitable distribution of what it is the country has. So when you think about it, imagine what rural communities in Ghana go through and what they look like. When you have $1 to the cedi being 17 cedis today, when you have high food inflation, when for the first time you have corruption at the highest level, when for the very first time nobody can go to any bank and focus on borrowing for any particular purpose.
What then would the president? What then will the presidential candidate when he becomes?
Citizens are suffering.
Well, so what then would he be doing differently when he becomes president? You've cited the 1DF.
There is one of my favorite accolades for John Mahama is the fact that people describe him as a nation builder. People see him as a patriotic citizen. People see him as a nationalistic individual. Remember that John Mahama never assumed that running a country was just about what he perceived as being good enough for him and not for everybody else. He will certainly not be building statuettes and statues across the country to go and commission in personal aggrandizement. He has actually been telling the good people of Ghana and the good people of the OT region in particular that he will be focusing largely on creating jobs. He will focus largely on developing women-led, women-owned businesses through the Women's Development Bank. He will focus largely on reducing the current reckless borrowing that we are witnessing that has left impoverished our rural poor and left 58% of the good people of Ghana multi-dimensionally poor. Mr. Mahama has promised to go back to the drawing cards to continue with the connection of water.
I know that the Eastern Corridor Road remains a major issue. They have said that it's been constructed, but as we know, is incomplete. What has been his specific resolute that he's been promising us that he will be fixing it?
Esther, you've answered your own question. Mr. Mahama thought it wise as a policy to actually ensure the construction of the Eastern Corridor roads. What were those roads supposed to do? To improve motorability, to improve access, to actually encourage more agriculture in the areas that actually ply the route of the Eastern Corridor Road. What were we told 8 years ago? We were told that they had stopped the work so that they could go and audit the process of the award of contract. How have they audited this construction, and where actually is the outcome of that audit? And who did they actually hold culpable for the audits that were taking place? And go and ask when the Auditor General told us how much money was expended on that audit, with no process or respect for the Public Procurement Act or anything for that matter. You see, look, the new patriotic party has largely carried out a charade, carried out a grand deception, carried out an agenda to keep everybody else impoverished, save for the few who operate in and around aficionados of Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Make no mistake, all the effort that Akufo-Addo is making to foist his successor on us is largely to avoid, first and foremost, accountability. Secondly, to ensure a third term through the back door. And fourthly, to ensure a continuation of the graft, the corruption, and the deception that has gone on. I am telling you that there are no 12,000 kilometers anywhere in Ghana. I am telling you that the Eastern Corridor Road was abandoned and that most of the works that have been done were actually eroded because they were left to rot and nobody continued. Indeed, most of the efforts that were put in by the erstwhile Mahama administration have been left to the vagaries of nature. Many of the people we've met, indeed, we called on our father, the Krashiura, and he himself lamented the challenges that young people actually endure. Lack of access, lack of jobs, lack of good motorable roads, lack of infrastructure by way of health and education. What are the reasons why Mr. Mahama has become very popular? Why do we all now realize that Mr. Mahama had an agenda to improve upon our infrastructure? Because one, better infrastructure will close the deficit. Better infrastructure will create jobs. Better infrastructure will open up opportunities for everybody, not just for a few. Above all, the generality of the citizens need basic amenities.
Thank you. I'm going to let you go, but briefly, I'd like to know what you do eventually if the EC doesn't provide you with a breakdown, and especially the summaries that you're asking for. Remember, they said that they're not mandated by law. What will the NDC do?
You know, the EC has actually been playing many games, but I do know that the NDC is ahead of its game. We are on top of our game. Whatever it takes for the EC to be sure to be an independent arbiter, we will continue to expose them.
Thank you so much.
The EC has no choice. The EC has no options. The good people of Ghana are depending on the Electoral Commission of Ghana to do the needful. To be unfairly criticized is one thing, but to be criticized for doing the wrong thing is another. And on this occasion, I do know that the EC has not been utterly transparent with the good people of Ghana.
Thank you so much.
Is Madam Mensah ought to do the needful and be transparent, be accountable, and serve the interests of the good people of Ghana, not the New Patriotic Party.
Many thanks for talking to us today. Moving away from the NDC, let's move to the camp of the New Patriotic Party, where Dr. Mahama Bawumia has been promising to create an airport city in Kumasi as part of his effort to industrialize the Ashanti region's capital if elected president. Speaking at a rally in the Menchia North constituency, Dr. Bawumia outlined his vision in transforming Kumasi into a major economic hub with a focus on creating jobs, stimulating economic growth, and improving the quality of life for residents. Nana Boakye Yadom has more from the Vice President's tour in the Ashanti region.
Speaking at a rally in the Menchia North constituency, the NPP flag bearer unveiled his ambitious plan to transform Kumasi into a major economic hub with focus on creating an airport city as part of the Kumasi International Airport project. The proposed airport city will be a major industrial and commercial center in the Ashanti region. Dr. Bawumia noted the airport city project will be a major driver of economic growth, creating thousands of jobs and stimulating economic activity.
Airport ACI. Ye pese ye airport city ewo Menchia North ha ye pese ye airport city emamo ena imutumi enya infaso enti nyame adom ena ye ba.
The Kumasi International Airport will have an airport city here in the Menchia North constituency to boost businesses. If elected president, I would champion it just as I did for the creation of the Kumasi International Airport and the Tamale Airport.
Airport enti said ye airport city wa Accra no ye pese ye airport city e wo Kumasi ha e beda Menchia e North ha.
The NPP presidential candidate started his 15-day tour of the Ashanti region from the Akyem constituency, where he engaged the clergy, traditional leaders, and the Islamic community. On the third day of his campaign, the vice president visited the Ficha Secretary East constituency, Kwabri East, and Menchia North. Throughout the campaign, he shared his optimism in securing victory on December 7.
Sorry na yakovoti December 7th by midnight. Munyina Betty say NPP has won the 2024 parliamentary and presidential election.
If you go across the country, you'll realize that the momentum is on our side. By midnight on December 7, the NPP will be declared as winners of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary election. It is clear.
Omunyene nimse omu belusu omuyemo ishishi omo eninti na say omu didi atem samwate.
The vice president is expected to launch the much-touted credit scoring system, an initiative he has championed with high optimism of supporting businesses. For Joy News, Nana Boakye Yadom, Kumasi.
Still on the NPP, and with just 30 days to go before this year's presidential and parliamentary elections, the ruling NPP is set to unveil a key manifesto initiative this afternoon in Accra known as the Credit Score System. The policy aims to boost Ghanaian purchasing power and reduce poverty, according to the party. We'll definitely bring you details of that story. My colleague is there, and at some point in a subsequent bulletin, so bring you that. But also, President Akufo-Addo has questioned the sincerity of John Mahama's 24-hour economy pledge, citing the collapse of several companies operating on 3 shifts during the NDC administration as evidence of poor management. Speaking at a mini rally in Seshi in the Western North region, Akufo-Addo stated that Mahama's record does not inspire confidence in his ability to deliver on such promises.
The president arrived in the Western region as part of his nationwide tour aimed at extending his gratitude to Ghanaians for their support over his 8 years in office. Addressing a large gathering of chiefs, clergy, imams, institutional leaders, and party supporters, he highlighted the achievements of his government in the region.
The NPP manifesto of 2016 and 2020, 80% of those promises have been fulfilled by my government. Now, as I said, specific areas go on. The addition, educational system. The only kind. It is all Membia. It's me, I am Shapama Koswaba. You only be kind when I addition was. No foundation, Kapima, it will safe for my educational system.
The president stressed that the Western region has seen significant development under his leadership, citing improved roads, market infrastructure, and economic projects. Despite some delays, he assured that these 2 major projects, which have stalled for months, will see completion.
1 or 2 important projects. I'm interchange restructuring of our debt, but that is over. And the finance minister is now making arrangements to complete the payments on the interchange, and the interchange to make it down.
With his tenure nearing its end, the president's visit serves as both a farewell tour and a final push to reaffirm his administration's legacy in the region, leaving voters with a reminder of his government's dedication to development.
John from the point which we feel the John of the King before, or this is Ghana from the point if I ever feel the premium. And another Banco before, and so Ghana from the point, I want to feel the premium. Oliver Bakupe. Nipa Bakupe and a Ghana for unknown. I'm on the party. So before premium, they are 1-term president.
As the elections approach, many residents are hopeful that these promises will be fulfilled as President Akufo-Addo bids farewell and leaves a mark on the Western region.
That'll be all for today's installment of Election Brief. There's much more news on myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for watching. Bye.